sister had been dead for 1 year when she called us. There were 6 people in the room who could hear her. My mother was standing less than 10 feet away, but she heard nothing. 5 of those 6 people are dead now. I am the last one. My sister's name was Leah. She was 25 when she died. I was 2 years younger. Her body was found inside a drainage tunnel 6 weeks after she disappeared. By then, rain had carried mud, garbage, and dead leaves through the tunnel. Animals had gotten to parts of her. The police could determine that she had been struck by a car, but they could not determine whether the collision killed her. It did not. The 5 people with me when Leah called were Noah, Eric, Rachel, Ben, and Cole. We had all known one another since school. Cole had dated Leah for almost 2 years. We told the police that Leah had left Cole's party by herself after an argument. We said she was drunk, angry, and unwilling to accept a ride. That part was true. The rest was not. Police questioned us several times. They examined our phones, searched Cole's house, and interviewed everyone who had attended the party. Our phones all connected to the same rural tower that night, but that tower covered the party, the road, and the drainage tunnel. It could not place us more precisely. Noah had damaged the front of his car. He claimed he struck a deer on his way home. By the time the police connected the damage to Leah's disappearance, he had replaced the cracked light and repaired the bumper. They knew we were lying. We could see it every time they brought us in. They just could not prove which part was the lie. On the first anniversary of Leah's disappearance, my mother held a small memorial at our house. She put photographs of Leah on the dining table and lit candles around them. Most of the pictures were from Leah's childhood, because my mother said she wanted to remember her before life became complicated. That was the phrase she used. Complicated. Leah had become difficult during the last few years of her life. That is the polite way everyone described her after she died. She could be funny. She could also be cruel. If you told her something private during a good period, she would save it until the next bad period and use it against you. She did not forget insults, even imaginary ones. She treated arguments like investigations. She collected messages, remembered dates, and repeated your exact words months later. People admired that about her after she died. They called her intelligent and strong. When she was alive, most of us called her exhausting. My mother invited the 5 of them to the memorial because she believed they had been Leah's closest friends. We had spent the previous year pretending that was true. Rachel helped my mother arrange the photographs. Ben brought flowers. Noah stood in the kitchen telling my father how much he still thought about Leah. Eric hugged my mother for so long that I had to look away. Cole arrived last. My mother held his face between her hands and told him Leah had loved him. Cole closed his eyes and started crying. That was not entirely an act. None of us walked away from that tunnel unchanged. There were nights when I woke up with my hand clenched so tightly that my nails had cut my palm. Still, watching Cole cry made me want to hit him. He had been the one who placed the sweatshirt over Leah's face. The memorial ended shortly before midnight. My father went upstairs. My mother started carrying glasses into the kitchen, but the 6 of us remained in the living room. Nobody wanted to be the first to leave. We had not all been together since the funeral. Noah sat on the edge of the sofa, rubbing his hands over his jeans. Rachel kept looking toward the photographs on the dining table. Eric had already drunk too much. Ben stood near the front window. Cole watched all of us without saying anything. Then our phones began vibrating. All 6 went off at the same time. My mother came back from the kitchen and asked what was happening. I removed my phone from my pocket. The screen showed Leah's name. It even displayed the photograph I had assigned to her contact years earlier. She was holding a cup of coffee and looking away from the camera because she hated having her picture taken without warning. Noah dropped his phone. Rachel whispered, "No." My mother looked between us. "What is it?" None of us answered. My phone continued vibrating. The sound filled the room, joined by the other 5 phones. It went on much longer than an ordinary call should have. Cole told everyone not to answer. Eric was the one who did. He put the call on speaker. At first, there was only a low scraping sound. It reminded me of something heavy being dragged across concrete. Then we heard breathing. It was wet and uneven. Each breath caught halfway through, followed by a small choking noise. My mother walked closer. "Who is that?" Eric stared at the phone. Leah said his name. Her voice sounded exactly as it had inside the drainage tunnel. Weak, confused, and full of pain. "Eric." He pushed himself away from the table. Leah continued. "You held my legs." Eric shook his head. "You said nobody would miss me." The call ended. For several seconds, nobody moved. My mother asked what we had heard. I could not speak. Eric grabbed his phone and replayed the voicemail. The rest of us heard Leah again. We heard the scraping, her breathing, and every word. My mother heard nothing. She took the phone from Eric and held it against her ear. "There's nothing here." Rachel said, "It's Leah." My mother looked at her. That was the wrong thing to say. "What did you just say?" Rachel began crying. Cole stepped between them and claimed somebody was playing a sick joke. He took the phone from my mother and showed her the screen. The voicemail was gone. All 6 calls had disappeared from our histories. My mother thought we had planned it. She accused us of using her dead daughter to frighten her on the anniversary of her disappearance. My father came downstairs, and she told him what happened. By then, Cole had regained control of himself. He apologized and said we had received an anonymous audio file that sounded like Leah. My father told us to leave. Outside, Eric vomited beside the driveway. Cole gathered us near Noah's car. "Nobody talks about this," he said. Ben stared at him. "To who?" "The police, your families, anyone." "You heard her?" Rachel said. "I heard a recording." "From where?" Cole did not answer. Eric wiped his mouth. "She said I held her legs." "We all know you held her legs," Cole said. "Any one of us could have made that." Eric looked around the group. "Did one of you?" Nobody answered. Cole turned to me. "Danny? Why would I do that?" "Because it happened in your house." I almost laughed. It was such an ordinary accusation. Cole could stand outside my parents' home 1 year after helping murder my sister and still behave like someone had embarrassed him at a party. "We should tell them," Ben said. Cole stepped closer to him. "Tell them what?" Ben lowered his eyes. That was how Cole controlled us. He never needed to threaten anyone directly. He only made us say the thing we were afraid of. We separated without deciding anything. Eric called me 20 minutes later. I nearly ignored him. Then I remembered Leah saying his name. He was crying so hard that I could barely understand him. She called again. "Where are you?" "In my garage." "Why are you in the garage?" I heard her out here. I sat up in bed. I had returned to my apartment, but I had not changed my clothes. Leah's photograph from the memorial kept appearing in my head. What did she say? She asked me to help her. Something scraped through Eric's phone. He stopped breathing. Danny, I'm here. She's under the car. Who is? He did not answer. I heard him moving around the garage. A cabinet opened. Metal tools struck one another. Eric, stay away from the car. She's underneath it. There's nobody underneath your car. I can see her hair. I called Cole from a second phone while keeping Eric on the line. Cole answered immediately. I told him where Eric was, and we both drove there. Eric lived less than 10 minutes from me. During the drive, I listened to him crawl across the garage floor. He kept talking to Leah. He told her he had not wanted to hold her. He said Cole ordered him to do it. Then I heard Leah. She was not speaking through Eric's phone anymore. Her voice sounded farther away, as though she was somewhere in the garage with him. You didn't let go, she said. Eric started screaming. Metal groaned. There was a deep impact, and the call filled with a noise I did not immediately recognize. It was air being forced from Eric's lungs. When I reached his house, the garage door was open. One of the overhead lights flickered. Cole arrived seconds after me and ran inside. Eric had been restoring an old car. It had no wheels and had been supported by 4 heavy stands. All 4 had fallen inward. The car was resting across his chest. His body below the waist was outside it. His legs kicked weakly against the floor. His upper body was almost completely hidden. Cole grabbed a jack while I called emergency services. I knelt beside Eric. Only the bottom half of his face was visible beneath the car. His jaw moved, but no sound came out. Blood ran from his nose and collected inside one ear. His fingers were torn open. Several nails were missing. There were streaks of blood on the concrete where he had tried to pull himself free. The car was too heavy. By the time the emergency crew lifted it, Eric was dead. The police called it an accident. A camera above the garage door recorded everything. It showed Eric entering alone. He walked around the car several times and looked underneath it. Then he lowered himself onto the floor and crawled beneath. Nobody touched the stands. They appeared stable until all 4 collapsed at once. The camera had no audio, but just before Eric crawled beneath the car, he looked into an empty corner of the garage. His lips moved. I knew what he had said because I heard it over the phone. Leah, I let go. I swear I let go. The detective assigned to Eric's death had also worked on Leah's case. His name was Harlan. He asked why Cole and I arrived so quickly. We told him Eric had been drinking and called us because he needed help with the car. Harlan listened without interrupting. He had a way of letting silence last until people became uncomfortable and added unnecessary details. Eric called you both? He asked. Yes. At almost 1 a.m? Yes. What was wrong with the car? I don't know. He didn't say? No. Harlan looked at Cole. Cole repeated the same answers. Then Harlan asked whether Eric had mentioned Leah. Neither of us answered immediately enough. Harlan noticed. Why would he mention her? Cole asked. I didn't say he did. He questioned us separately for another hour. Before I left, he asked whether I believed in ghosts. I said no. He wrote something down. Eric's funeral took place 4 days later. My mother attended even though my father asked her not to. She stood beside Eric's parents and cried as if the last year had not already taken everything from her. Afterward, Rachel asked the remaining group to meet in the parking lot behind a closed pharmacy. She looked ill. Her clothes were wrinkled, and there were dark circles beneath her eyes. "She keeps calling me," she said. Cole glanced around the parking lot. "Keep your voice down. She called me at work." She called from the office phone. My manager answered, and there was nobody there. Then he handed it to me, and I heard her. "What did she say?" Ben asked. Rachel pressed both hands against her mouth. My phone vibrated. The others reacted at the same time. The call came from Leah's number. Rachel begged us not to answer. Cole did it anyway. Leah was crying, not loudly. It sounded like she was trying to cry without using enough air for anyone to notice. "Rachel." Rachel backed against her car. "You took my phone." "I'm sorry," Rachel whispered. "You heard the number dialing. It never connected. You said nobody would believe me." Rachel slid down the side of the car. The call ended. Ben checked his phone history. Nothing was there. Cole crouched in front of Rachel. "What did you do with Leah's phone?" "You know what I did." "Tell me again." "I smashed it." "Where?" "Behind the tunnel." "You threw away the pieces?" Rachel nodded. "Then there's no recording." "It isn't a recording," she said. Cole grabbed the front of her coat and lifted her. "Stop saying that." Ben pulled him away. For the first time I saw real fear in Cole. Not guilt, not grief. Fear. Rachel refused to return home. Her younger sister had 2 children, and Rachel believed Leah might hurt them to punish her. I told her Leah had never contacted anyone outside the 6 of us. That did not comfort her. "What if she starts?" Rachel asked. "What if she runs out of us?" Cole told her to stop acting insane. Rachel slapped him. For a moment I thought Cole would hit her back. Instead, he smiled and told her she had always been weak. That was something Leah used to say. Rachel drove away before any of us could stop her. She checked into a motel on the other side of town. I offered to stay in the room next door, but she refused. She said she wanted a place nobody associated with her. I stayed on the phone with her. For almost an hour, nothing happened. Rachel sat on the bed with the television playing. She asked me to talk about ordinary things. I told her about work. I described an argument I had with my landlord over the heating. Neither of us mentioned Leah. Then the motel telephone rang. Rachel stopped speaking. "Don't answer it," I said. It continued ringing. "Danny, that phone isn't connected." "What?" I pulled the cord out. The ringing stopped. A few seconds later, it began again from inside the bathroom. It was quieter there. Rachel carried her mobile phone toward the bathroom. I heard her switch on the light. "There isn't a phone in here," she said. The ringing continued. She pulled back the shower curtain, opened a cabinet, checked beneath the sink. Then Leah spoke. "Give it back," Rachel screamed. The mobile phone struck the floor, but the call remained connected. I heard breaking glass, followed by several heavy impacts. "Rachel." She did not answer. The motel phone continued ringing in the background. I called emergency services while driving there. The front desk employee reached the room before me. Rachel had locked both the main door and the bathroom door. The employee used a master key to enter the room, but we had to force the bathroom door open. Rachel had used the ceramic lid from the toilet tank to break through the mirror and tiles above the sink. She had continued striking the wall until the lid broke apart. Her hands had been cut almost to the bone. Blood covered the sink, the mirror, and one side of the bathtub. Several of her fingers bent at the wrong angles. She had torn pieces of tile from the wall with her bare hands. She was lying face down in the bathtub. There were only a few inches of water inside it, but her nose and mouth were submerged. Her hands still twitched against the bottom. I pulled her out. She coughed blood across my shirt and tried to speak. Part of her tongue was missing where she had bitten through it. I leaned close enough to hear her. It was ringing in the wall. She died in the ambulance. Police found no telephone or wiring behind the bathroom tiles. The motel employee had heard Rachel screaming but had never heard a phone. My call with Rachel was still connected when I found her. When Harlan listened to the recording, he heard my voice, Rachel's voice, and the destruction of the bathroom. He could not hear Leah. He could not hear the ringing. He asked me why Rachel repeatedly screamed my sister's name. I told him I did not know. Harlan placed photographs of Eric and Rachel on the table. 2 people connected to your sister have died in less than a week. I know. Both behaved strangely shortly before they died. I know. And you spoke to both of them. I was their friend. Were you Leah's friend? She was my sister. That isn't what I asked. I looked away. Harlan leaned back. The 6 of you described Leah as your close friend after she disappeared. Other people from the party described something different. I said nothing. He opened a folder. Noah's former girlfriend said Leah exposed an affair he was having. Eric's old manager said Leah reported him for stealing from the register. Rachel's sister said Leah shared private medical information about Rachel during an argument. Ben was accused of stealing money from Cole's house. Cole had a restraining order hearing scheduled because Leah said he would not leave her alone. They had problems with her. So did you. She was difficult. Harlan watched me. Did you like your sister? I wanted to give him the automatic answer. Of course I loved her. Instead, I said, sometimes. That was the first honest thing I told him. Leah and I had never been close. When we were children, she corrected everything I said. If I told a story incorrectly, she interrupted. If I broke something, she told our parents before I could fix it. When I became older and started getting into real trouble, she documented it. My parents trusted her because she was usually right. That made me hate her more. The night of Cole's party, Leah discovered I had taken money from our mother. It was not the first time. I had lost my job and had been pretending I still worked there. I needed money for rent, but that was not the only reason I took it. Leah told me she would explain everything to our parents in the morning. I called her a parasite. I said she had no life of her own, so she survived by controlling everyone else's. She told me I was weak. I told her I wished she would disappear. There were people close enough to hear me. After her body was found, one of them repeated those words to the police. That was why Harlan never believed me. Noah called me 2 days after Rachel died. He asked to meet at a bar outside town. He was already drunk when I arrived. He had parked his car despite the fact that the police had told him not to drive. He placed his phone on the table between us. I'm going in tomorrow. Where? To Harlan. My stomach tightened. To tell him what? Everything. I looked around the bar. Nobody sat near us. You can't. 4 people are already dead. 2. Noah stared at me. I realized he was including Leah and whatever remained of himself. She won't stop, he said. You don't know that. She calls me every night. He had lost weight since the memorial. His hands shook so badly that some of his drink spilled when he lifted the glass. What does she say? She asks why I backed up. I looked at him. Noah began crying. I had not known about the second impact. The first time he struck Leah, she rolled across the hood and landed behind the car. Noah panicked. He put the car into reverse because he wanted to turn around. The rear wheel passed over her legs. I had remembered the car lifting slightly. I had spent the past year telling myself it went over a rock or the edge of the road. You knew, Noah said. No. You were sitting beside me. I didn't know. You looked back. I couldn't see anything. You saw her. Before I could answer, both our phones vibrated. Leah called. Noah stared at his screen. I answered. For several seconds we heard the inside of Noah's car. The engine was running. Music played quietly through the speakers. A turn signal clicked. Then came the first impact. Metal flexed. Glass cracked. Leah screamed. The vehicle stopped. Noah's younger voice said, "What did I hit?" The recording continued. I heard my own voice. "Just move the car." The engine accelerated. Leah screamed again, much louder. The rear wheel passed over her. Noah covered his ears. Leah spoke over the recording. "Noah, you hit me twice." "Stop," he said. "You asked if everyone was sure I was dead this time." The call ended. Noah stood so quickly that his chair fell. "I'm going now." "To the police?" "Yes." "You've been drinking." "I'll walk." "If you confess, you take all of us with you." He looked at me for a long time. "You sound like Cole." Noah left. I sat in the bar for another 20 minutes. I could have followed him. The police station was less than a mile away. He was drunk, frightened, and barely able to walk straight. Instead, I called Cole. I told him Noah was going to confess. Cole became very quiet. "Where is he?" I should have ended the call. I gave him the name of the bar. Noah never reached the police station. His body was found in a parking structure the following morning. He had been beaten with a tire iron. One side of his head had been struck so many times that his skull had collapsed above the ear. A security camera recorded the attack from a distance. The killer wore a dark jacket and kept his face hidden. The video showed Noah attempting to stand after the first several blows. The killer struck his left knee, waited for him to fall, and then continued hitting him. Harlan came to my apartment that afternoon. He showed me a still image from the recording. "Recognize the jacket?" "No." "Did Noah contact you last night?" "No." Harlan already had my phone records. He knew Noah called me. He knew I called Cole. My lie lasted less than a minute. I admitted meeting Noah but claimed he had been drunk and incoherent. I said I called Cole because Noah mentioned him. "What did Noah want to confess?" Harlan asked. "I don't know." "He told the bartender he was going to speak to the police. He didn't tell me why." "And you called Cole immediately after he left?" "Yes." "Why?" "I just told you." Harlan stared at me until I felt sweat forming beneath my shirt. "Did Cole kill Noah?" "No." I knew he had. Cole came to my apartment after Harlan left. There was a small cut across one of his knuckles. He said it came from work. "You told Harlan we spoke," he said. He had the call records. "What else did you tell him?" "Nothing." Cole entered without being invited. He checked the bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom. "What are you looking for?" "Her." I almost asked who he meant. Cole opened my closet and pushed the hanging clothes apart. "She's doing this," he said. "You killed Noah." He looked at me. "You called me because he was going to confess. I didn't ask you to kill him." "No, you never asked directly." I thought about Leah on the concrete. Cole moved close enough that I could smell soap on him. He had scrubbed his hands, but a dark line remained beneath one fingernail. "If you tell Harlan anything, I'll tell him whose idea it was to leave her there." "It wasn't my idea. You said calling an ambulance would destroy 6 lives for one." I was panicking. We were all panicking. You covered her face, and you held her hand. He smiled. "Maybe that is why she hasn't named you yet. She remembers you being kind." After he left, I was sick in the kitchen sink. My mother came to see me the next day. She looked exhausted. She had stopped sleeping after Rachel died. The newspapers had noticed the connection between the deaths and Leah's old case. Reporters waited near my parents' house. My mother asked whether I knew why it was happening. I said no. She looked around my apartment. "You all hated her." I did not answer. "I knew about the arguments," she continued. "I knew what Leah could be like. But after she died, all of you acted like she had been the most important person in your lives. We felt guilty for fighting with her." "Is that all you felt guilty about?" I told her to leave. She stood near the door but did not open it. "Leah trusted you." "No, she didn't." "She did, Danny. You didn't know her." The words came out before I could stop them. My mother stared at me. I had spent my entire life believing she loved Leah more. Standing there, I realized I had finally become the only child she had left, and she still wanted Leah. "She made everybody miserable," I said. "You act like she was perfect because she's dead." "I never said she was perfect. She ruined people's lives for fun. She told the truth when people wanted her to stay quiet. She told whatever version made her look right." My mother's face changed. "What version are you telling?" I opened the door. She left without hugging me. Ben called that evening. His voicemail consisted of only an address. It belonged to the roadside entrance near the drainage tunnel. He sent another message a minute later. "She called me. I'm going to tell them everything. If you want to tell it yourself, meet me first." I should have contacted Harlan. Instead, I drove to the tunnel. The entrance was set below an abandoned section of road. Concrete barriers prevented vehicles from entering, but there was enough space to walk between them. Police had searched the tunnel after Leah's body was found. Candles, flowers, and photographs had later appeared near the entrance. Most had rotted or washed away, but a laminated picture of Leah remained tied to the fence. Someone had scratched across her face. Ben waited inside with a flashlight and a digital recorder. The tunnel smelled of stagnant water. A shallow stream ran along the center. Each sound traveled farther than it should have. "Did you tell Cole?" Ben asked. "No." "Did you tell anyone?" "No." Ben switched on the recorder. "What are you doing?" "Making sure one version survives." He placed it on a concrete ledge. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then Ben began describing the night Leah died. He started with the party. Leah had argued with nearly everyone before leaving. She told Noah's new girlfriend that he had cheated on her. She called Eric a thief. She accused Rachel of pretending to be fragile whenever anyone confronted her. She told Ben to empty his pockets because money had disappeared from Cole's bedroom. Then she turned toward Cole. She told everyone he had been following her since their breakup. Cole laughed and said she believed every man who looked at her was obsessed. Leah threw a drink at him. I followed her outside because I was afraid she would call our parents. She had already discovered the missing money. We argued in the driveway. She said I needed help. I told her I needed a life without her reporting everything I did. She began walking home. The rest of us got into Noah's car. We claimed we wanted to apologize. That was not true. Cole wanted to frighten her. He told Noah to drive close behind while he shouted through the window. Eric and Ben laughed. Leah moved onto the shoulder. Noah accelerated. He later claimed his foot slipped. I do not know whether that was true. The car struck her from behind. The sound was not dramatic. It was a dull impact followed by a crack in the windshield. Leah rolled over the car and disappeared behind us. Noah stopped. I told him to move the car. He reversed over her legs. When we got out, Leah was lying on her side. Her left leg bent beneath her. Blood ran from beneath her hair and across her face. She looked at me. "Call Mom." That was the first thing she said. Rachel removed her phone, but Leah had already begun dialing emergency services. The number was still ringing. Rachel ended the call. Leah saw her do it. "Why did you do that?" Rachel said nothing. Leah tried to sit up and screamed. We should have called then. There was no reason not to. Instead, we began discussing what would happen to us. Noah had been drinking. There were drugs in the car. Cole had an upcoming hearing because of Leah's complaints. I had shouted that I wished she would disappear in front of witnesses. Leah listened to all of it. A vehicle appeared in the distance. Ben walked into the road and waved it down before the driver reached us. He told the man we had hit a deer and already called someone to remove it. The driver offered to help. Ben refused. The vehicle continued past. Leah heard that too. The unfinished drainage tunnel was down the embankment. Cole said we needed to move her away from the road before another car arrived. We carried her inside. She screamed every time we moved her legs. Eric held them together because she kept kicking him. Leah bit his wrist. He struck her in the mouth. One of her teeth broke. Eric called her an animal. Rachel said, "She's finally useful for something." They laughed. I had forgotten the laughter until Ben described it in the tunnel. Maybe I had only pretended to forget. We placed Leah on the concrete. She continued asking me to call our mother. Cole stood above her and asked what would happen if she survived. Nobody answered. He asked again, "Does anyone here actually want her to survive this?" Leah looked at each of us. Nobody said yes. Ben stopped speaking. His flashlight shook in his hand. "I could have called," he said. "That man had a phone. I could have left with him. We all could have done something. I heard her after we left. I looked at him. What? She wasn't dead?" Cole checked. He lied. Ben began crying. When we reached the entrance, I heard her coughing. I told Cole. He said it was water moving through the tunnel. "You never said that." I didn't want to know. Our phones vibrated. The sound echoed through the tunnel. Ben looked at his screen. Leah was calling. We answered together. At first, we heard the approaching car from that night. Its tires moved across the wet road. Then Ben's voice said, "Just a deer. We have someone coming." The unknown driver asked whether we were sure. Leah screamed from somewhere below the road. The driver heard her. What was that? Ben answered. The animal isn't dead yet. The vehicle drove away. Leah spoke. Ben. He dropped his phone. You told him I was a deer. Something moved behind us. Cole stepped into the light. He carried a tire iron. Ben reached for the recorder. Cole struck him across the mouth. The impact knocked Ben into the wall. Several teeth hit the concrete. I backed away. Ben raised both hands. Cole hit him again, this time across the forearm. The bone broke with a sound like a branch snapping. Cole, stop. He ignored me. Ben attempted to crawl toward the tunnel entrance. Cole brought the tire iron down across his back. Ben flattened against the concrete. His mouth opened, but he could not draw enough air to scream. I remained where I was. Ben reached for my leg. His fingers closed around my ankle. For a second, I was back beside Leah. I felt her hand pulling against mine. I kicked Ben away. Cole struck the back of his head. Ben stopped moving. Blood flowed into the shallow stream and spread through the water. Cole breathed heavily. There was blood across his face, but none of it belonged to him. You brought him here, he said. He asked me to come. You were going to confess. No. He looked at the recorder on the ledge. I moved toward it. Cole raised the tire iron. Both our phones began ringing. Cole's face went pale. He shook his head. No, I answered. Leah did not sound injured this time. Her voice was clear. Cole. He stepped backward. You covered my mouth. Cole dropped the tire iron and pressed both hands over his ears. You told them I always wanted everyone looking at me. I was trying to stop you suffering, he shouted. Leah answered from both phones. Then why did I fight you? Cole screamed and threw his phone into the water. Her voice continued from beneath the surface. He turned toward me. This is because of you. I picked up the tire iron. Cole rushed me. He struck me in the throat and drove me against the wall. My head hit the concrete. The tire iron fell from my hand. Cole grabbed my neck. She was your sister, he said. You should have stopped me. I pushed my thumb into the cut on his knuckle. He released me long enough for me to reach the tire iron. I swung at his leg. It struck the side of his knee. The joint collapsed. Cole fell and screamed. I stood above him with the tire iron. He tried to drag himself away. His injured leg twisted behind him. Danny, wait. I hit him across the shoulder. He raised his arm. The next blow broke it. Stop. I hit him in the ribs. He curled onto his side. Please. I heard Leah breathing through my phone. Cole heard it too. He looked toward the sound. Tell her I'm sorry. I struck his face. The first blow split his mouth. The second knocked him onto his back. He tried to speak, but loose teeth and blood filled his mouth. I hit him again and again. At some point, he stopped raising his hands. I continued. The front of his skull broke open above his left eye. Blood sprayed across my trousers. One of his eyes no longer moved with the other. I kept swinging until the tire iron slipped from my hands. The tunnel became quiet. Ben lay face down near the water. Cole lay several feet away. His head no longer had a recognizable shape. My phone was on the ground. Leah's call had ended. I called the police myself. I did not try to leave. I sat between the bodies until officers entered the tunnel. Harlan arrived later. He looked at Ben, then Cole, then me. What happened? Cole killed Ben. And Cole? I killed him. Why? I looked at my phone. Leah called us. Harlan closed his eyes. The forensic evidence proved that Cole killed Ben. Ben's blood was on his clothes and beneath his fingernails. His fingerprints and Noah's blood were later found on the tire iron. Cole had also attacked me. If I had struck him once or twice and escaped, it might have been considered self-defense. I hit him 23 times. At least 14 of those blows happened after he could no longer stand. Several happened after he was probably unconscious. The prosecution argued that the final blows were delivered after he was already dying. They were right. I told my lawyer about the calls. He advised me never to mention them again. When investigators examined my phone, there was no call from Leah. There was no voicemail. Ben's recorder contained his confession about the night Leah died, but his voice stopped immediately before the call. The recording then captured Cole entering the tunnel and attacking him. It did not capture Leah. It did not capture the phones ringing. Ben had described moving Leah, lying to the passing driver and leaving her in the tunnel. He had not yet described Cole suffocating her or my involvement. Police reopened Leah's case, but everyone who could support Ben's statement was dead, except me. I told Harlan that Ben was confused. That was the final lie I gave him. The public explanation was that Leah's death had destroyed our group. Eric and Rachel suffered breakdowns. Cole murdered Noah and Ben to prevent them from speaking. I killed Cole during the final confrontation. Nobody could explain why it began exactly 1 year after Leah died. Nobody outside the 6 of us knew about the calls. My mother visited me once before the trial. She sat across the glass and asked whether I had been with Leah when she died. I said no. She stared at me for a long time. Did she ask for me? I nearly told her. I wanted to say that Leah had called for her until Cole placed the sweatshirt over her face. I wanted to tell her that Leah's final clear word had been, "Mum." Instead, I said I had not been there. My mother nodded. She never visited again. I pleaded guilty to murdering Cole. My lawyer negotiated a sentence that may allow me to leave prison before I am an old man. That should frighten me. It does not. A few weeks after sentencing, Leah called again. I was walking past the telephones at the end of the prison block when one began ringing. Those phones cannot receive incoming calls. The guard standing beside it did not react. Nobody else looked up. I picked it up. Leah said, "I'm still not done with you."